What's going on, YouTube? So the Lexus TX is one of the newest entries into the three-row luxury space, yet it has already become one of the best sellers.
And that's why we were very happy to spend the last week with this oh-so-popular model.
So after 7 days, did it prove that this is the model you should put your money towards? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's dive right in with our spec dump. So you can get 3 different powertrains with this model. We have the one that's the most common, it's the TX350, a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 275 horsepower. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with the all-wheel drive system, it gets 23 miles per gallon combined.
Now the base price of the Lexus TX is $58,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we lived with this model, so we have our lived with experiences to share, as well as things like our real-world fuel economy. But first, we need to shut up the hood and take a look at the exterior, as well as the luxurious and spacious cabin.
Now, as far as the exterior look is concerned, the TX actually looks pretty different than most of the other Lexus products, and that's because of the unified spindle, which is basically a full body color finish for most of the front end design. Now, as far as our opinion, as well as the opinions of all the people we showed this to, they think that it overall looks a little bit generic. But one thing that everyone did seem to like was this paint color. This is the Matador Red. It is new to the non-F Sport trim level, so we've got the luxury trim today, and I think it looks quite nice. Now, moving on to our headlights, you have a standard full LED headlight. It's a projector LED. You have kind of the upside down arrowhead daytime running light and turn signal indicator. You cannot get triple beam headlights still on the TX model. Down below, we have LED fog lamps, and we also get LED cornering lamps. As we move around back, we have a simple and sophisticated design.
Yeah, so let's break down some of the individual design touches. We have a spoiler up here at the top, a rear window wiper. Kind of wish it was hidden a little bit though. We have Lexus spelled out across the back. It's going to kind of be blended in to the taillights. And the taillights are, of course, very premium. So they're full LED. You have your LED brake light, LED reverse light, and your LED turn signal indicator. That's going to be an amber color. And then all of our badging is blacked out. This is a mixture of matte black as well as body color, excuse me. As far as the tow capacity, it comes in at 5,000 pounds for all the powertrains.
Now for your wheel options, you have 20-inch alloys as standard on the base model, premium, and luxury trims, and 22s on the F Sport. We have the available luxury 22-inch alloys. As you can see, it's a multi-spoke design with a gray finish. I think it looks overall quite nice. And you have body color surrounds for your wheel arches as well as the lower part. Moving on to the mirrors, these are fully equipped as you'd expect for a luxury vehicle, including power folding and auto dimming on the driver's side.
Now at the side of the TX, overall vehicle length is 203.2 inches. And although it's not the most expensive Lexus SUV, it's actually the biggest when it comes to interior space. And overall, in terms of the design, you have a pretty nice look. So you have the chrome on the upper part, you have this floating panel through here, and every TX will have the roof rails up here at the very top. Now when it comes to safety systems, all of those active safety features are also standard equipment, including things like adaptive cruise control. Furthermore, you can option on traffic jam assist. But guys, there is a super comfortable interior, and we need to talk about our impressions after a week. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, moving to the inside, here's our Lexus key fob. It's the typical fob, smart entry, and remote start are standard. You can also get digital key as well. And to get inside, just walk up to the handle here. This is an electronic style handle, so just pinch behind it and the touchpad will release the door. All right, and checking out the interior, it's got a very similar cabin to many of the other Lexus products. And since we have the luxury version, we also have an elevated experience when it comes to the seats. So jumping into that, that's going to upgrade you from the new Luxe leatherette to a full semi-aniline leather. So this is a very soft and supple high-end leather We also have some Alcantara inserts which run down the sides of the seats themselves. You've got 3 different colors you can choose from. This is the birch. You can also get black or peppercorn colors for a luxurious design. The seat adjustments are also improved from the standard versions as well. You have 4-way lumbar instead of 2-way, and you also get this power thigh extension. Memory seats are on all but the base model though. Let's go ahead and climb inside. And you probably saw the running boards, but this vehicle does not have much ground clearance at all, so they're certainly not necessary. They're more of an aesthetic thing. All right, now that we're inside the interior, we can look around at the overall cabin quality. Starting out over here in the door trim, you'll find a leatherette that runs through with a stitching detail. Lexus finishes the center section in a leatherette as well, and then a soft touch plastic at the top. Going to the upper dashboard, this is all a soft touch plastic. You have leatherette that trims through there, soft touch materials through here, and then you have a suede insert actually in the center section. Soft touch plastic and leatherette down here on the lower parts, and then you've got the tiny wood accent. This is a darkened wood trim on most of the models going over through there. Overall, it's not incredibly luxurious. We've talked about this in the past compared to some of the, say European competition, but it is a very plush interior and very comfortable, especially these seats. Let's fire it up. Let's jump into the individual features now with our gauge cluster. First up, this is the 12.3-inch full digital cluster. Of course, it is standard equipment across all the board, but I will say that it doesn't have quite as many options as even most of the Toyota products in terms of the designs that you can pick, and it does lag as well when you're changing designs. That being said, we also have a head-up display with this model that is part of the optional advanced technology package. Rain sensing wipers will be standard as we pull back to the steering wheel. Here's the latest Lexus design, We do have our buttons on here, which are touch sensitive, by the way, so it actually corresponds with what you see inside of here and in the head-up display to tell you which controls that these things will control. That's a bit weird to get used to. The steering wheel itself is power, tilt, and telescoping, and of course it is heated as well. Now, turning over here to our center console, let's pop it open. It's got the split design, and you'll see it has donuts inside. Not just a few donuts, it has 21 donuts, so really excels in our donut test. This is one of the most practical family 3 rows you can get in the luxury space. That is for sure. Moving forward of that, we have our cup holders. These are the removable design, so you can pull them out if you want to store something that's a little bit bigger. You've got more storage right through here with our wireless phone charging pad, and then you can actually slide this back, and you've got a really nicely sized console area where you can store things like your sunglasses. Lastly, there is a little bit more storage over there on the side. Now, as far as your shifter is concerned, it's the small electronic style. Just pull over and back for drive. There are paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Do the opposite for reverse, and when you go into reverse, here is the available 360-degree camera system. This is also part of that advanced technology package I was mentioning earlier, which is about $2,300 on most of the trim levels. This also is packaged with the parking assist for both your parallel and perpendicular parking automatically. Just press that P for park. You have an electronic parking brake with brake hold located behind there. Now, continuing on, next place we come to is the volume knob. We have the available Mark Levinson sound system. It's 21 speakers. It's their Pure Play system. Let's give it a sample. Overall, this is a nice and rich sounding sound system. Plenty of bass and good balance as well. Now, of course, we've got our big old display here. So we've got the 14-inch screen. This is standard equipment. And embedded inside of the screen, you'll find your climate control knobs. This is just your main temperature. And then your other functions are kind of at the bottom part of the screen itself, like your fan speed. Now, this does also have standard heated seats, as you'd expect for a luxury vehicle. Seat ventilation is included on all but the base trim level, and both of those are automatically synced with the main climate control. Now, I will say with the seat ventilation, it doesn't work quite as well as our Kia Telluride. It seems a little bit weak. Now, as far as the rest of the system, you can see that we've got wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And then I'll navigate into the Lexus side of things. This is just a typical system here. It's not very complicated to deal with. It has been very reliable this week and worked super well with our phones. And you do have a built-in navigation system, which comes with a trial until the subscription expires, as it has on this press car. Up top here, we've got our auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. This also has the digital camera rear view mirror, part of the advanced tech package. And then lastly, let's slide back the sunshade for our panoramic sunroof. As you can see, this is a very large piece of glass, and the front panel opens up.
But the real star of the show is here in the rear seat area of the Lexus TX. So first and foremost, let's talk about space, because I think you'll be pretty impressed. What we're sitting at is 39.5 inches of legroom, 38.5 inches of headroom. Both of those figures are very good, although they're not necessarily class leading. They are very spacious, that is for sure. If you want a realistic knee room figure, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", and of course we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. And look at that, we're sitting at about 8.5 inches of knee space with his seat adjustment, and we also have room for my feet to slide up underneath of the seats. Now, speaking of the seats, they do slide forward to be able to touch the front seat. That's very nice for families. And then you also have the ability to recline the seat as well using this lever here on the side, although it's not going to be a ton of recline. Now, you may notice that we have the captain's chairs on this particular model. That's actually optional here on the luxury trim level. It comes standard with bench seating, which would be 7 passengers, or if you get the captain's chairs, that means you have 6 passenger overall seating here in the TX. When you get the captain's chairs, you have this removable center console, which is pretty nice. You also have the removable cup holders back here as well if you'd rather store something in the center area. Now let's take a look at the center area's features. So we have our own zone of climate, as you would expect. Here on the 350 Luxury, you get the standard heated back seats. However, we additionally have the optional ventilated back seats as well to add an extra luxury touch. Down below, a little storage cubby. You have 2 USB-C ports as well. And then let's take a look at the door trim. The door trim is going to have some pretty nice features, including rear window sunshades. The materials are also going to be pretty good, with a lot of leatherette all through this intersection and a really fat and wide armrest, as well as quite a bit of door storage down in the bottom. I think you'll be impressed with the third row, so let's go ahead and check that out. In order to get back here, all you have to do is locate this button right here, press it, and that's going to allow the seat to slide out of the way. It's also going to tilt the seat back itself. I'm actually a new father, so I have a rear-facing car seat, and you can see that on the screen right now, but I wish it was a little bit more of a tilting mechanism, although this is going to be fine for most families. Let's go ahead and hop back here into the third row. This really is an impressive element for the TX. So what we're sitting at is about 33.5 inches of legroom and about 37 inches of headroom. That does mean that someone who's my size, I'm 5'9" for reference, is going to be quite comfortable back here. This is really pretty much, I think, the best one in the luxury midsize space. As you can see, this seat is slid all the way back. I still have about 2.5 inches of additional knee room. My feet can partially slide up underneath of the seats. And the seats back here are going to be nice and wide because they've only elected to do 2 third row seats, so they're really wide and comfortable. They have a little bit more of the suede going on through there. And we're not done yet, because when it comes to features, we have a leatherette pad where your arm is going to rest on. You have a removable cup holder, a fixed cup holder, and you also have this button right here that will allow you to recline the third row of seats quite a good distance. So really, this is not too much more uncomfortable than the second row, that's for sure. Additionally, we have USB ports on the side and vents coming out of the ceiling. So this third row is really very much fit for adults or even perhaps a king. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we have a standard hands-free power one across the board, and let's talk about overall cargo capacity. So what we're sitting at is about 20 cubic feet of space behind the third row of seats. If we fold those down, which by the way, they are power folding on the vast majority of TX models, you're going to have 57 cubic feet of space, and if we fold all the seats down, in its entirety, 97 cubic feet of space. Both of those figures are going to be very good for the segment, that is for sure. And if you're curious as to how it compares against all of its other luxury 3-row midsize SUVs, we'd encourage you to visit our website, carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the options in this competitive segment and ranked them in individual categories, things like the 3rd row, cargo capacity, luxury features, powertrain choices, and of course value. So you can sort the list and see the best options in each of those categories depending on what is most important to you, and really help you make that informed buying decision on our website, carconfections.com. Now, in order to get the 2nd row seats folded down, I will have to go up there and do it manually. I wish they would have included handles at least here in the cargo area to do that. And now that I've got those seats folded down, as you can see, they are completely flat with the floor. Let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. As far as cargo length, we're looking at 90 inches behind Drew's 5'8" seating position. That's very good. As far as behind the 2nd row with it slid all the way back, 55 inches. From behind the 3rd row, about 22 inches is what you can expect. And as far as the opening, that's super wide, guys. 50 inches wide. The height, 32 inches tall. So as you expect, this is a very spacious offering. It's really the most spacious in the segment. It has really good numbers here. And 32 inches is your cargo load-in height. Now, underneath of the floor, you have a tiny bit of extra space. You also do get a spare tire on the TX. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Lexus TX. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we need to start with a hard acceleration.
All right, 60 miles an hour with the TX 350. Now, like we talked about at the beginning in the spec dump, there's 3 different powertrains you can get inside of the TX. The 350 is the most common one, so most people leaving the dealership lot are going to have this version. It's a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 275 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. Now, in terms of that, overall power is pretty good. It's not going to blow you away or anything. 0 to 60 is going to be just a bit under 8 seconds. Obviously, this is a pretty significantly sized SUV. It gets the job done, but the other 2 powertrains are more powerful and more efficient. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, so overall, this base powertrain, I find it to be pretty good. Now, I will say something like a Acura MDX with a V6 is going to have a lot more refinement. That's something that we've kind of knocked this engine for in the past in other Lexus products, as well as this TX. It's a little bit loud and unrefined. However, one thing I do like about it is the torque. The torque really pushes you back in your seat when it finally kicks in. And of course, for those of you that are power junkies, get the other powertrain options. So you can see those on the screen right now, but there's a 500H model that's going to have quite a bit more power. It also cuts your 0 to 60 down to 6.1 seconds. And the fastest one is actually the plug-in hybrid variant, 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. And that makes 404 horsepower this year.
Now, as far as the transmissions are concerned, well, each of those powertrains has a different transmission.
Yep.
Speaking on the 8-speed automatic that we have here in the TX 350, overall performance is nice and smooth. It does have some hesitation between some of the shifts occasionally. Just want to point that out. We've had that in other Lexus products as well that use this 8-speed automatic, so it seems to be a kind of a common characteristic, but it's nothing too concerning.
And as far as how power is routed to the ground, you do have front-wheel drive as standard equipment on all of the trim levels of the 350, and of course you also have available all-wheel drive. But we have turned onto our designated strip of road to talk about ride quality, so let's get into that discussion. Even though we have the optional 22-inch wheels on the outside, I have been nothing but impressed with the way this TX rides this week. This is one comfortable SUV. The Grand Highlander is comfortable, and I think this adds an extra layer on top of that. It really is one of the most comfortable vehicles that money can buy. I can just see you going on long family road trips and just eating up the miles in this vehicle. These seats are incredibly comfortable. The suspension is tuned very softly, and like I said, even with those 22-inch wheels, you can feel almost no road intrusion at all, even if you hit big bumps in the road. Now, of course, if you choose the F Sport model, so the 500H Sport. That's going to kind of spice things up when it comes to performance. That's going to give you an adaptive variable suspension. You know, these 350 models are definitely going to be more focused on the luxury side of things. It's also going to even include rear steering as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. I'll toggle us to fan speed 1. I'm also going to make sure that our ventilated seats are off since they are automatic. All right, let's see how quiet it is. I'll also make sure the rear climate is off. There's a lot of things to check. Very good. We're sitting at 49.9 decibels. It kept dropping even more and more. And honestly, we have seen this in past Lexus TXs. So in this luxury 3-row space, you look at the competitors, and this TX consistently is one of the top options, if not the top option. That 49.9 decibels, I think, will actually make it the quietest option in the segment, which is very impressive, I must say. And I will say that's kind of where this vehicle excels, is in the comfort side of things, and also just like, you know, quiet cabin is part of that, you know, a quiet, comfortable cabin for a long family road trip.
Now we're out on a country road, and it kind of goes without saying, at this point we've praised how comfortable it is so much. It's not really sporty, at least not in this configuration. If you want a little bit of dynamic ability, certainly opt for the F Sport. This is going to have plenty of body roll when you go around corners and things like that.
Yeah. And let's also talk about fuel economy, because, of course, there's your body roll demonstration there. The fuel economy is going to be pretty decent. So we're sitting at 20-26-23 for the TX350 all-wheel drive. The 500H models are 27, so you get 4 better MPG as well as more power. And then the plug-in hybrid comes in at 29 miles per gallon combined once you deplete the battery out, which, by the way, it does have an all-electric range of 33 miles. As far as our experienced fuel economy this week, we have had a quite nice weather week, and we drove at 143 miles, and we are sitting at 19.4 miles per gallon. Now, that was mostly city driving. I'm say like 75-25 when it comes to that, but that does mean it's underperforming the EPA estimate by a decent amount, and we've seen that in past Lexus TX videos as well. You know, when we lived with it, it didn't really get very good fuel economy, so I'd highly recommend getting the hybrid if that's something that concerns you.
And now it's time for our slam dunk and airball. I will begin with the slam dunk, and that is just how practical this vehicle is. They really do a great job, I think, of focusing on details that make this a very family-friendly space, and of course very comfortable space. Those are the big priorities of this product.
And really areas where it shines over its chief rival, the Acura MDX, I believe. Now, on the flip side, airball is just going to be, we kind of wish, especially for the price, that Lexus would give you some more luxury. It's not really all that much more luxurious than something like a Grand Highlander. Yes, you have a lot of nice features in here, but the cabin is certainly not over the top luxurious, especially when you start looking at some of the German rivals, and even things like the Acura MDX do have more premium touches throughout. So after a week, do we like it better, the same, or worse after living with it? Well, I'm going to say everyone here could agree that it is the same. The reason being because it has some really strong elements like those practicality elements, and it also has a few weaknesses as well. Now let's talk pricing. So we start at $57,000 for the standard model with front-wheel drive. The luxury model elevates up to $63,000, and of course your different powertrains are also quite expensive. You can see the full lineup of prices on the screen right now. Now, as you can see, we have the 2026, well, you might not be able to see it because of this window sticker, but it's the TX350 all-wheel drive luxury. We also have quite a lot of options, actually, and accessories. After $1,450 destination, we're sitting at $74,379 as tested today. This vehicle is manufactured actually in the U.S. It's in Princeton, Indiana, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing dealership negotiation. There's even things like a monthly payment tool, so if you'd like to check all of that out, you can once again find that on our website, carconfections.com/newcarquotes. But let's talk about the resale value, reliability, and the warranty. First up, let's talk about resale value. Lexus as a brand is rated at 53.83% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 28.16%. Now, it's worth noting that is the #1 luxury brand for resale value, and it's actually still above industry average for all vehicle brands, including mainstream ones.
The same can also be said about reliability. So our combined reliability index, when updated with the latest 2026 data, puts Lexus as the #1 brand across all spectrums, mainstream and luxury.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about how all that is calculated, you can find that on our website, carconfections.com. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you have a good one. It's a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty, a 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do also get 2 complimentary service visits. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth 7-day review of the 2026 Lexus TX 350. If you enjoyed hearing our impressions after living with this model for a full week, we really appreciate you subscribing down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.